Good morning.
Good morning.
I hadn't expected stole of many colors. But of course I appreciate it. I'm honored. The honor was already there by the invitation to do our Thurman homily. I had never been to this church before, but it's a good church to come to. When I first came in, they were playing music, and were the spirituals, and those were my favorites. I sang them in high school and in junior college. I was in glee clubs, and we loved to sing them. In those days, I was second tenor. And especially when you don't have a full orchestra and you just only have a piano, as the musician just played. Oh, that just took me back. I want to make a little preface to my homily. I saw Howard on two occasions. The first one was when he came to the University of Chicago to preach in Rockers Hall Chapel. And the second one was when he spoke to the fledgling group of black scholars who had formed the Society for the Study of Black Religion at Howard University. And I should like to talk about two things regarding these occasions when I met Howard. At Rockefeller Chapel, he preached a sermon. And his text was from the story of Satan taking Jesus up on a mountain and telling Jesus, I would like for you to bow down. He said, I won't tell anybody. It'll just be a secret between the two of us. But I will know that you bow down to me. And of course the scripture reads, and Jesus said, get thee behind me, Satan. And then Jesus went on to say, man shall not live by, and you know how Herman Thud does it. And he put his finger right there. He said, and Jesus saw this word that was simply a small dot out of the corner of his eye. And it was hurtling toward him. Hurtling. And he got closer and closer. And by this time, the congregation is just waiting. And we're waiting for some big word. Like ball, red, something. And then he said, and as it came closer, Jesus saw the word, and it was alone. I said, Lord, have mercy, Jesus is waiting for the word alone. Threw everybody off. But that's what Herman Thurman does. You waiting for him one way and he comes another. The second occasion, he told us he was so happy that we had organized this little group. And then he told us some episodes from his own life. He said when he was a small boy, he couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 years old. And he remembered his mother came in after he had gone to bed to check on him and tuck him in. And he said she came in and she rubbed my forehead and she tucked the covers in, and I heard her say to herself, God, protect and save this little black boy. And he said, if I'm worth anything today, it's because of that. Now, Howard was in that tradition of preachers and thinkers who were rhetorically suited and made use of the lito. The lito is a rhetorical meaning where one employs a negative word or phrase to express something positive. You know it best from one of the greatest of these, and this is Mahatma Gandhi, because he said, ahimsa, don't harm. Don't do something, and that's good. Most of the time in in Indo-European languages, not doing something is a bad thing. You're supposed to be doing it. Well, I'm doing it. And that's one of the ways in which Howard made us move away from what we thought was the conventional way of doing something and getting things done, to show us another way. A way that was so obvious we kept overlooking it because we didn't see it was there, because it's so there all the time. So I want to remember that by talking about, or taking my text, or repeating or doing a retro on a sermon that I gave 50 years ago, 1968. 50 years when our brother, 50 years, our brother Mark was killed. I also preached this sermon in Rockefeller Chapel. I don't preach very often because I'm an academician. And one of the few times I do preach, has been at the chapel. Because I come out of this tradition of preaching. You shouldn't go around just preaching to anybody. You should preach to people you know. You should preach to people you pastor. You should preach to people you care about. So that when you say something they don't like, it hurts both of you. Shouldn't be able to go out and just throw stuff out there. But that's just one tradition of preaching. But I preached this sermon, and I thought it might enable us to understand where are we today after 50 years. Because as I read over of this text, it sounded like what's happening today. The text that the sermon is based on is the one from Luke. Jesus is speaking to his group of people, a multitude of people. And one man in the crowd comes up and says, Master, I want you to persuade my brother to share the inheritance with me. Now that sounds fair. If the brother got an inheritance, you ought to share it with your brother. That's what everybody would think. Everybody would think that Jesus ought to think that. But Jesus, he doesn't sound so good to this man. I mean, the response is harsh. Man, who made me a divider over you? Who do you think I am down there? This is no court. And he said, on top of that, he added a little insult to it. Take heed regarding covetousness. He said, let me tell you something. And then he told his parable. He said, a man had a lot of good stuff. And that good stuff just kept coming in. And he said, what shall I do? I got all my barns are filled and the stuff is still coming in and it never occurred to him, well, I could give some of it. He said, I know what I'll do. I'm going to tear down these old barns and build new barns to contain this stuff. And that's what he did. And he tore the barn down, built new barns, and he would go out and look at the stuff, look at all my stuff. And then Jesus said, you fool. You fool. This night, your soul is required of you. And you have no soul. So beware of being rich in stuff and poor toward God. Now, how did that go down with the civil rights crowd? Because remember in 1968, I mean, we out there on the street now. And we want our brother to share the stuff with us. And even though we were calling ourselves soul brothers and soul sisters, we wanted some of the stuff. Now, what is this soul stuff? Sidney Reed, who was one of my colleagues at Chicago, once wrote about the American people and religion, and he said the American people during their formative period were people in motion. They were moving across the land. They land on the Atlantic coast and they moving across the land, always going west. And he said they conquered this whole thing. And then he adds after that, and in a short time, says, their hearts and minds were formed during that time. So if you want to look for an American soul, it was acquisition of stuff. The American soul was based upon the acquisition of stuff. Not just enough, but more and more and more and more stuff. I remember I saw a decent Indian United States cavalry movie once. And it was a post-Civil War type movie where the United States cavalry had gone out west to take care of the Indians. And this had to do with the Cherokee Apaches. The Cherokee Apache leader met with one of the generals of the American Army, and he said, "Why do you want this land?" He said, "This land can't be farmed. It's rocky. It's too high. He said, "You can't do anything with that." And he said, "And there's enough. There's enough. If you want some of it, you can have some of it. But why do you have to have all of it?" So there's never enough. Never enough. See, the me goes on to say that Americans speak of themselves so much in terms of this great conquest of the land that they hide even from themselves. They suppress even to themselves that loss of soul that was simultaneously taking place. So when you call upon Americans to undertake some great thing, to undertake some kind of redress, they act as if they're going to try to do it. But they think it's easy because they try to do it with that old self. With that acquisitive self, they think they're also going to share with you. So the problem that I was trying to preach at in 1968 is still the same problem. The loss of soul. The loss of soul. Now let me push it a little harder. I want to refer to two classic texts. Two texts that were written by two men, one a European and the other one a Black American, around the same time, in the same generation. One was Max Weber, little book that became a classic. You can read all about it. It's been in print ever since he published it in the late 1890s. Protestantism and the Spirit of Capitalism. If you go to big universities now, even little universities, somebody's going to tell you to read it. And the other one was published in the same generation a few years later, and that was W.E.B. Du Bois's Souls of Black Folk. Now, these two persons knew each other. Du Bois studied in Germany, and even though Weber was older than himself, they had the same teacher, Gustav von Schmoller. And Du Bois had heard Weber give lectures there. And as a matter of fact, when Weber made his trip to America to attend the St. Louis World's Fair, and there was a conference there, Du Bois came up from Atlanta to talk with him because they were discussing whether or not they would translate Souls of Black Folk into German and publish it in his under Weber's publishing. Now, they understood each other. In other words, both of them understood that in the modern world, there are two profound problems regarding any form of the state. One you could define as statecraft, the other one as soulcraft. Statecraft had to do with how do you order, or how do you bring and sustain order within a state where you are going to have democratic freedom. Weber thought you could solve that by bureaucracy, by rationalizing the modes of power, so that when I went to get a job, I could take a civil test and I would get the job and I would be a civil service worker. You know about that. And therefore, I wouldn't be in that situation, which I've seen in various parts of the world, where I get the job and the first thing I do is hire all my brothers and sisters. They don't have to take any test, because I know them. But here you have to take a test. Back in my day, we all used to work at the post office. We all had to take a little test so you could get in and throw them out. And Weber thought that for a democratic society, this was the best way because it had a rationale behind it. Everybody took the same test, everybody could. And this gave law and order. But he also understood that this was an abstract, and if left only to itself is ossified. It gets deadening. And I'm sure we've all experienced the deadening power of a bureaucratic system. You got a person and they got this job and they got that little tag on them, and they become, you know, like a little Hitler behind them. Get over there, son. And they in the right, but they're not treating you right. So that had to be dealt with by soulcraft. It had to be dealt with in a way by which the intimacy of the group could express itself in the day-to-day meanings of that society. And for that you needed soul. Now the Germans had their problem. Their problem First of all the Germans were not the same. We speak of Germany now as if it's just German. But you know, there were Hessians and you know, Prussians and it was not united until 1870. So we got all these groups. But the big problem with the Germans were the Poles. The Poles were treated in Germany very much the way sharecroppers were treated in the United States. The Poles were brought down into Germany to pick beets and grow beets for sugar beets for sugar. And the problem was, how are we to deal with these folks who have now become a part of our society, but not of a part of us? So they had a problem of soul craft. And of course, the reason Smoller was interested in Du Bois's Souls of Black Folk is because Du Bois was discussing the problem of soul craft in the United States. How can a nation that contains 3 races of people, something Americans hardly ever talk about, the Aboriginal populations, the Europeans, and the Africans, how can there be a soul? The problem of America is the problem of soul craft. And because we cannot solve the problem of soul craft, our issue of statecraft goes awry. So you see what has happened. You see what has happened to your statecraft. Looks like an insane assault. And it's all related to the failure of soulcraft. It's all related to the fact that we do not want to share not just the stuff. We don't want to share because we don't want to admit our dependence upon each other. See, that's the deeper thing. Someone said in the discussions regarding reparations for black folks in slavery and all that, should black folks be given money, a lot of money, because they were enslaved and all that? My own feeling at that time was that if the government thought it could just give y'all some money and you go away, they would have done it. They would have done it. The problem with that is they would have to confess that they were wrong. They would have to confess they were wrong at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. And they were wrong when they created the Electoral College. And they were wrong when they created the notion that all bills having to do with revenue came up in the House. They have been doing this since the founding of the nation to prevent soulcraft from happening in these lands. They purposely went about to destroy the Indian nations. Master, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me. Now you can notice at the end of the passage that we read, what Jesus has done is to take the man back to the dependence of both the brothers on something other than each other. He takes them back to a primordium. See the lilies of the field. See the birds of the air. Where do you think all that came from? Why do you have some notion that you own the star? You don't even own yourself. Which one of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit to his height? See, soul is that kind of meaning that comes with being a human being that allows you a sense of dependence upon a maker, not human. Allows that kind of meaning to become the access to the excess that can only be found in your neighbor. That's what soul. Soul is that meaning of life that lets you know that life is more than being alive. Soul is that meaning of the substance of life that you know was not made by you and you must accept as a gift. But when you commodify everything, when you tell people they need all kind of stuff that is totally unnecessary, then you end up destroying the gift that was given in creation. Why have we raped the land? Why have we destroyed the air? Why is it that we keep doing it and we know it's wrong? We know it's wrong. Incidentally, one of the best we know is wrong was by C.T. Vivian. And there's a little film of C.T. Vivian talking on the police steps in Birmingham. And C.T. Vivian said, "Daddy, you know it's wrong." And Will Connor, he knew it was wrong. And we know it's wrong. But we have blinded ourselves for so long that grown men who are supposed to have good sense act as if, you know, everything go right. Don't go worry about it. The way Jesus was using the parable was to give the person the sense that it was necessary for this being that we call human to work in the land, to work in nature. But this human being, if it possesses a soul, would like for the Lord to establish their work. established out the work of our hands. But we have created this great nation, and we like to think that God came and established it also after he saw what we did. He said, that's good. My seal of approval on that. But I don't think he did. Because every time I hear these things and big deals that went on, July 4th, 1776, oh, established that. And then you find out there's a black man named Frederick Douglass say, what does that day mean for me? And then you had the Civil War, we fought the Civil War, really said, and Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. But the Emancipation didn't free not one slave. That was a nice thing, but he didn't free no slave. It made the enslaved populations in the South contrabands of the government. Now, contraband is something that you capture during warfare. You capture the enemy's stock. And then there was who said, we got to, in other words, they weren't citizens. Then they had to pass 13 and 14 amendments so they become citizens. And then by that time they figured out they can be citizens, but they ain't going to be no real citizens. We gonna fix it so they can't be efficacious as citizens. And that's when Jim Crow came. And so we want to know whether this country work has been approved by God. Has he established the work of our hands upon us? So that problem of soul craft is still there. But the thing about soul craft is that it's in our own hands. You don't have to vote for it. You don't have to. Soul craft is in your hands right now. It's a matter of how you want to regard, deal with, understand, live with the human beings around you. That's where it is. Because out of that, both you and them have access to what God gave us as gifts. You don't need a voting permit. You don't need a driver's license. You just need to be a human being. And they're becoming rare. But it is the soul craft that is needed. So, 50 years after the death of our brother, our soul brother. And if you get a chance, go back and read that last sermon. Because he was talking about souls that night. $50 years. And so, from where have we come? It was quite something to see the other day the President of the United States read and sign the proclamation in the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on the same day that he expressed all these vile remarks regarding the fact that he had no soul.
Amen.
So this is where we are. But don't blame him. He's there because we put him there. He's there because we want him there. He's there because America is America.
Wake up.
So we can't keep having these 50-year intervals where we celebrate our deeply departed, and at the same time observe the same old thing except worse. One of these times, it won't be the case. When we were in the 60s, even though the 60s were rough, I think most black folks, my generation, we thought, yeah, it's rough, but we can handle it. You know, it's not going to perform. I mean, we're going to settle this thing now. It's hard, but it's fair. We would be very hard put, and I guess I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here to witness the fact that we didn't know what we were talking about. Because, I mean, 50 years ago, if somebody imagined that a person like Donald J. Trump would be president, I would tell them, you out of your mind. But here we are.
I'd imagine.
Here we are. So, the one thing I can offer is that you have the solution in your hands, and that we as a nation of persons need to figure out the meaning of the gift of life as it is shown to us in what we call nature, but also in our brothers and sisters who are our companion beings. That is the source of soul force. Du Bois, Souls of Black Folk, was an attempt to show how black folk could bring about the soul force that was necessary for the Americans to have a viable society. One of the funny things about that relationship between Du Bois and Weber never published his work. And I think it was because once Weber came to the United States and actually saw large numbers of black people, he had doubts of whether these large numbers of sharecroppers and black people could ever be the soul force that was necessary for America. And I think that's where his doubts were. He had no doubts about Du Bois as a person, but he had doubts about the masses of black folk. And therefore he didn't want to throw his eggs in that basket. But at the same time, any reading of Babel's work shows that he was absolutely right. He's absolutely right that the American Republic has put itself in an iron cage and thrown away the key. They have no basis for moral authority anymore. And this was a conclusion of his own work. So it's up to us internal people. And I think when it comes to social force, which is the key to state power, that it has fallen upon black folks in the country to take on the mantle of the meaning of soul. And I hope we're able to do that before black folks themselves begin to lose their souls, because that is one of the things that bother me. I spoke about loving the spirituals, and I hear some less and less among black folks. And so I worry about that. But anyway, I want to end with a prayer. And this prayer is from the Maori people who originally they inhabited New Zealand. The prayer was a translation into Maori from the English Book of Prayer, and then translated back into English from that Maori translation. It's the Lord's Prayer. Eternal Spirit, Earth Maker, Pain Breaker, Life Giver, Source of all that is and everything that will be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God in whom is in heaven. The hallowing of your name echo through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the world. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and testing, strengthen us. From the trials too great to endure, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. God bless you. Amen.